Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat podcast, live on a Monday following Dwyane Wade's induction into the Hall of Fame. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, reality check master, Tiffany Meeks, Illinois' finest.
Hey,
How are we doing today?
how's everybody doing? Long time no see.
Listen, I told you I had a fucking pothole today. My car bounced out of it, and so I've been at a dealer all day. So I'm ready to talk basketball and fun stuff. If you're on Twitch, appreciate you for watching us live, twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat. If you're on YouTube watching the replay, love that too. For the pod audience that might not see faces, we have Jack Alfonso, Weird Alf himself. Welcome back to the program. We wanted to talk D-Wade, wanted to make fun of Joe Cronin and Daryl Morey and James Harden. And I couldn't think of a person that I want to do all three of those things more with than Jack. What's up, man?
I'm back. I got
You're
that
back.
text from G last night, and I was like, I'm so back, baby.
He faxed me. I'm back. Just from Denver. Just faxed me, I'm back. He's so back. Jack, I'm so excited, man. We have so much to get into. It's nice that in the middle of August, we have stuff. We're blessed as Heat fans. We have stuff to talk about. And we're going to start with D-Wade because, man, he killed it. They saved him for last. And it was kind of funny, the contrast between Dirk and Dwyane, and really Pau and Dwyane. Like, they were all very, reflective of their careers. Dirk really was Dirk, just very funny, very dry, very self-deprecating, very Dirk. I love Nowitzki and all that, but to have Dwyane go up there and give, one of the great speeches of all time. That man, I couldn't be more proud, Tiff, to see him grow into the man that gave that speech. And that's all I thought about the whole time. That when we talked about this before air, you came in as a Heat fan in around 2003 when he got drafted. You saw the kid he was to grow into the man that spoke to everybody on Saturday was moving in so many ways.
All right. I know you came to me, but I'm actually gonna pass it off to Jack first.
Listen, you're a point guard first,
Yep, I'm passing it to Jack. Jack, you go ahead.
Shit, I got the Joel Anthony hands. I'm gonna fumble the pass. No, man. I mean, Dwyane Wade is, I'm of the younger generation where Dwyane Wade makes up the entirety of my basketball fandom. Like, two figures fundamentally have defined my basketball fandom. It's Dirk and it's Dwyane Wade. I moved to Dallas in 2006, summer of 2006. That adversarial relationship is defined most of my friendships, and I loved her. It's impossible to hoop in Dallas and not practice that fadeaway 500 times a day. Did I ever hit one? No, but it was a crazy, surreal just experience as a basketball fan, getting to see just everybody in the building. I love Gary Payton. Everybody loves Zoe. To see, Udonis. I think I sent it to Yuji, Udonis, and then just to see Bam, the next generation there too. It felt like such an encapsulation of the past 20 years of Heat basketball.
Of basketball in general too. I mean,
years.
Really.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is one of the best Hall of Fame classes, period. Right. From Pop to Pau to fuck Tony Parker, but Tony Parker, Dwyane Wade, Becky Hammond. That is a stacked class. It runs deep, and I think just between them and seeing everybody around them, Bosch, I got emotional. I think specifically the little Bosch video bomb just sent me back in time 10 years. Right. But to your point, Dwyane Wade's had a long career. He was not this guy his rookie year. He wasn't supposed to be this bigger than life superstar who's so amazing at handling himself and being this public figure that represents so many things, both like as a man, as a father, as a basketball player. Like he's transformed, to your point, G, into somebody who is just so competent. He's a game show host. He's larger than life. He is like just a brilliant speaker. And like beyond him talking about himself, like him talking about Allen Iverson, I think was one of the most emotional parts of the night. Like to see Allen Iverson get the credit he was due. You know, people have given him his flowers before. Players obviously worship him, but like Dwyane Wade has like, you know, bared that legacy as much as anybody, from wearing 3 to the arm sleeve to just, you know, like the general demeanor, like carrying him with him throughout his whole career. So like, it just felt like the culmination of a lot of things. We'd been waiting for it for a while, and I don't think it disappointed. Like, it was a special night.
He really, you know, all those other guys were very like retrospective on their career. And for Dwyane, it was a focus on family and the people that got him there. It wasn't so much about basketball, right? And it's funny for a guy for you to say that, for when he got up there, let's go Heat chants erupted in the damn Hall of Fame, which, by the way, that's a big middle finger to every like dickhead analyst who says like we don't have fans. Like, people love this team and people love that guy. And I don't think anybody understands what that guy meant to Jack. You've been to games in Miami. You've seen the reaction. You know, I've been blessed that I got to cover him. It's even the way the media is in awe of him. Like, people, you know, it's insane what he is and what he represents to people here. And so that didn't surprise me, but a big FU to the national media thinking we don't have fans because sometimes people show up a little late. But Tiff, yeah. So it was a focus on family, on friendship, on the people that got him there, which I thought was interesting compared to Parker and Powell and Dirk, who really talked about their careers, and they kind of went. It was like a retrospective of their basketball acumen, and Dwyane's wasn't.
Right. I think that was. I want to say this in a way that it's not a shot at the other guys, but it's just a true testament to Dwyane that he actually took the time to sit back and reflect. And probably for him, the reflection wasn't the game winners and the massive dunks and all those things. But what was the commercial? Fall down, 7, get up 8, or
Well, 7, get up 8.
Right. So I think his reflection was more of the hand that was there helping him up every time he fell. Because we isolate these guys as far as greatness, but you really can't show your greatness unless there are other people around you. You know, him being able to go score 40 and do all the things that we saw him do, jump on the table and high five and do the cabbage patch after dunking on Kendrick Perkins. Like, none of those things happen without those other guys.
Tiff, you say that the cabbage patch was a tribute to his teammate, Juwan Howard. You know, like,
right.
To your point.
Right. So all these things, they meant something to him. And it seemed like as he went in his career, he collected these memories and he put them away. And I'm not going to say he put them away because he knew he was going to the Hall of Fame, but he put them away for a moment where he got to thank all these people. And it just so happened he took the greatest moment of his career and turned it around and put the mirror on everyone else.
Which is very him, given kind of where he is at in his life. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing, G. Like, I think it bears out in his whole media tour. Like, as limited as it has been, like when he was on Levitard, like the talks he's given to people, everything kind of becomes clear that like he knows what he did as a player. He knows how good he was. He doesn't need to prove that. Like, I think other people have said it. I think Shea Serrano said it. Like, he still has one of the coldest highlight reels in NBA history. You can see it. You can see how good of a player he was. everybody remembers all 3 of his championships. Everybody remembers those accomplishments. Like everybody remembers the Redeem Team. There's a documentary on it. Like it is well documented. People will continue to talk about it because he's forever tied to LeBron and he's his own guy. He's forever tied to Shaq and he's his own guy.
He was tied to all those guys
Riley.
up there with him getting inducted. Pop, Tony, Dirk, the battles in the finals. It's not, you know what I mean?
He is a fundamental part of like multiple valences of NBA history, like multiple like legacies, dynasties, etc. And I mean, I think the difference between him and a Dirk or him and a Pau or him and a Tony Parker or Popovich even is just that he is a bigger figure than those guys. None of those guys are public figures outside of basketball. All due respect to them, like they're all great basketball figures, but like outside of Popovich, maybe making like the occasional political statement, he's still not a figure in the culture. Like Dwyane Wade, like non-basketball fans know that name, they know that face, and they know what he's about. Like he is a recognizable person outside of that. And I think like the Hall of Fame induction for him just means a lot more than basketball, it seems, because like you said, Tiff, like so many people brought him there who aren't going to get the recognition that he's just naturally going to get by being Dwyane Wade. But like, I think one of the most special moments, period, and I think everybody will agree, is just him bringing his father up on stage and hugging him like that. That was a beautiful moment. Like it's cool to see somebody who's such a big superstar, both as a personality and as a player, be so obsessed with how good of a teammate he was, how good of a son he was, how good of a father he was. Like that's rare for somebody of that like cultural, like personal stature.
Right. Even
you know,
when I'm sorry, G.
I was gonna say like Dwyane was never a give me the ball and get out of my way guy. He was more like get on my back and let's go.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference. Not that there's a right or wrong way to play, because I think everybody has their own thing that makes them great. But to Jack's point about being, I just always felt that was, you know, that was the way that he did things on the court.
Well, and you and that's the thing where it came through. You know, that night when he stood at the podium and he thanked everyone, and you know, what did he say? He didn't say the fans. He said
not everyone.
Wade County.
Not Fred Hoiberg. Every coach except for Fred Hoiberg and whoever coached.
I'm from the Midwest. We're not talking about
that shit was so funny. He's like, to all my coaches to stand to this, to that. And I was like, where's Fred Hoiberg and the dude in Cleveland?
We're not getting into that. But that's it. It was a testament to who he really is. He didn't, and I really, I don't know if I looked too deep into it, but he didn't say the fans. He called everyone Wade County. You know, that, and for him that means something.
That was for us, man.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When you said like he's get on my back and let's get there, not let me just do all of this. I think that's the moment where he said Wade County. He's showing you, and he's always showed you, he's inclusive in everything he's doing. That's
kind of the lasting legacy, to Jack's point about his father as well. Like I almost felt like, I think a lot of us, Dwyane's mother was way more present during his playing career. And I think he didn't talk a lot about his father when he played. It was a lot about his mother. I mean, we even knew her name was Jolinda. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy that, you know, we even knew his mother's name. She was so a part of publicly his life, and his father wasn't. Now, more recently, he, you know, on Instagram and everything. So to be honest with you, it was just a lot of it was unclear. So it almost felt right that Dwyane, you know, kind of put the spotlight on maybe somebody who maybe wasn't as present during his playing career, that he didn't, for whatever reason, didn't talk about enough or wasn't asked about enough, because obviously his mother has a more made for headline story, you know, right? Obviously kind of the rehab, falling into substance abuse, into rehab, into coming back, you know, obviously that makes for a more you know, headliney story rather than but you know, you know, how what his dad did for him, and I'm sure that colors a lot of who he is. But I don't know, that moment was, I'm telling you, I was full sob. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys. I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I cry for everything. I was a mess, bro. I was like,
Right.
I was ugly crying. It was
Well, I
bad.
started once he started having his people stand up. That's when I. That's when it really like. I think to me because although he's been retired, the book was never closed. Like you always knew there was something that needed to round out that career. There was something that where you wanted to stop, and as we used to do as kids, do I want to read this book? Let me see what the back sleeve says, right? So I've always been waiting for that back sleeve material when it came to him. And for me, when he started having his family members stand up, then for me, that was the moment where I thought, he's just great. And I didn't think he's a great basketball player. Like there was no caveats. Like he's just great, and it's okay for us to acknowledge that um, a man who, I can say it, who was just simply he was a basketball player at one time. He has evolved into a great person.
They say bigger than basketball a lot, and he actually took that to heart.
Yeah.
And he made his post playing career about that. And you know, I know that his talent and his work and what he accomplished as a professional was able to
Hmm.
give him the platform to do that stuff. But
Right.
he's really taken that to heart. I'll never forget. I remember at the ESPYS, Banana Boat, D Wade, CP, LeBron, and Carmelo were talking about police brutality, and I remember Dwyane was swaying back and forth because obviously, like, you're public speaking in front of,
Hmm.
that's a very bare thing to talk about, right? It's
Yeah.
a very personal thing about a very traumatic experience that's happening to Black America, and those guys are up there being voices for people that are often never heard. And
Hmm.
I just remember him swaying, and I remember I was watching with my mom, and she was like, you could tell that he's like really nervous, and that's not a guy, Jack. I mean, we
Right.
watched a lot of Dwyane Wade. That's not a guy that we attribute nervous to. Fast forward to this speech, stern, powerful,
Yeah.
presidential, I would even say, commanding a room filled with, man, I'm sure the people in that room he has the utmost respect for. People that I'm sure he's looked up to, sitting next to him, his idol, looking back at him in the front row, his daughter, who she has fought tooth and nail just to exist, and he has fought off people to protect her, his wife, his baby girl, his sons, his father, his mother, you know, his peers, his idols, his bosses, you know, Spo, you know, Bam, the next generation, and he just, the way that he commanded that room and gave a speech that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a Heat fan and I love Dwyane Wade so much that it hit me that way. But I couldn't be more impressed with kind of the man he is. It's a goat.
Yeah, I
The goat.
he's the GOAT. And I think it was beyond basketball, like a big month for Miami sports in general. Like, you know, you have Zach Thomas also getting inducted. That's a
Right.
cool moment, like more than deserves it. You have like Miguel Cabrera coming to Miami for pretty much his last
The Detroit
trip to
Tiger player.
Miami. That's like,
He's
yeah,
on
I
his
mean, that's
yeah.
that, but those are our legends, like in terms of like Dolphins and Marlins. Like
Do we claim
nobody's gonna
him
be bigger
like
than Miggy.
if Kyle Lowry like wins a ring, are we gonna claim Kyle the way we claim Miguel? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Miggy was here when he
I'm
was
just kidding,
like,
bro. I'm just kidding.
come on, man.
I just wanted to give you a hard time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's a childhood.
Yo,
hero,
chat's
man.
so
But,
mad
like,
at me.
Yo.
I'm a little heated, but the point being that like as big as Miggy is to me, like as great as Zach Thomas is, like I'm not a Marino generation guy, but obviously he looms large.
Right.
Like there are big Miami figures across all
Nothing
sports.
close.
Even to this day, there's nobody who even comes within like 1,000 feet of Dwyane Wade.
Messi will
just,
never
like,
touch Dwyane, and he's 8,000 times the star that he is here. Like, and he'll just never be.
You're not wrong, but like the joy you got from saying that.
You saw that?
This town belongs to Jimmy Butler and Bam.
You
Get
saw the
in line, bozo.
You saw the twinkle in G's eye.
The twinkle in his eye. But that's exactly the point I was going to make, G, is that like that's what's kind of weird about Dwyane Wade is that like his tendrils are so long, even in the basketball world, where like this Heat team, as it is currently constructed, is unthinkable from top to bottom without Dwyane Wade. Like Udonis only just left the team. His legacy is inextricable from Dwyane Wade's. Like that is the continuance of Dwyane Wade's like authority on the Heat team, not to like belittle who Udonis is as an individual, but they were the duo. They were supposed to retire together. Spo would not have a job if it wasn't for Dwyane Wade. I'm sorry. Like LeBron would have gotten that guy fired.
Yeah.
And not a shot at LeBron, but like that's just record. That's Dwyane Wade defended that dude. Like he went to bat for who's now the greatest coach in the NBA right now. Jimmy Butler wouldn't be anywhere near the Heat if it wasn't for Dwyane Wade. That's well documented. And then you see Bam at the ceremony, and I thought that was a special thing. Like how much Dwyane claims him when he's coming around the 06 championship team. Like you have Peyton, Zoe, Dwyane Wade. That's a group. Right. And then for Dwyane Wade to be like, no, we want Bam here too. He's like in this crew.
We all
like,
want Bam here too.
We all want him here. And then you see Bam, like I was shocked by this other video where he's just holding the trophy.
Yeah,
for
I
Wade.
saw that.
Yeah. And he's just
like this is all I want to do.
But that's special. Like that is like you see a light in him, you see like that competitive fire. And I think people kind of discount that for Bam. Not to switch the conversation away from
Dwyane Wade, I love
like
Jack. I always
the
thought
mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was supposed to be. And I remember I was watching some old Heat game like a month ago, and I was like, from the like Justice Josh Bam era, before Bam was obviously the best one, and you're like, who would have thunk that Bam would be like not just the last one there, but like the standard bearer, like carrying the torch for Udonis and Wade, like having these relationships that go back, and then having such like clear, unashamed Hall of Fame aspirations of his own. Like he was not shy about being like, I want to be here someday, and I'm gonna be here someday.
The anti-Jimmy dog, the anti-Jimmy.
Right.
Yeah,
they can't break those guys up. They no, just never. Tatum was there too. Bam's recruiting Tatum. Bam's on the clock. I'm telling you, man, if I'm a Celtic fan and I see Jason Tatum arm in arm in between Bam and Dwyane Wade and Alonzo, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good with the dude that can't dribble with his left hand. I don't know. I can't. That can't feel good. I'm not gonna lie. This can't feel good.
Bam's networking. He never stops.
He
Oh man, Bam's LinkedIn runs deep. The thing that I thought was really interesting was I talked about this with Moose on Thursday before the induction, and we were like, how is Dwyane gonna talk about the organization? Because that's a little testy, right? We know it. It's not. I think I told Moose, I think Dwyane loves the organization, doesn't like it, right? And I also feel like he doesn't attribute. One of the things I wondered is how much does he attribute the org for his success? I know that he's proud to come out of it because he does. I don't know if you saw that interview. It was Dwyane and it was it Ray Allen or it was somebody else, and they were talking about Anthony Edwards, and they're like, "Oh, he just needs a little bit of culture. He just needs a little Heat culture." Like that's an owner of the Utah Jazz saying that Anthony Edwards needs him and a former teammate. Oh, it was Andre Iguodala. And
it wouldn't have been Ray Allen. Ray Allen would be like
Ray Allen's never said an interesting thing
not a
on
fan
air
of
in
the
his life.
culture. I don't know.
Ray still lives as I think Ray Allen's a coach of Gulliver. Shout out to Kendall.
Those practices are short.
He has things to tweet. What a time that was. But Moose and I were like, how is he gonna talk about the org? Because it's gonna be interesting. And he was super like in debt, like he was with the Heat guys a lot. He was with the '06 guys a lot. He was with CB a lot, with Zoe, with obviously UD, Bam being there, and he didn't talk. He didn't talk about the other teams. He didn't talk about leaving. He didn't talk about coming back, and he didn't talk about the other teams. It's like
other
it
teams.
never happened.
You mean Marquette?
Yeah.
He talked about Tom Crean.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. I forgot. Yeah.
Tom.
I think he talked about the Olympics too. Maybe is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. There's no other things. It's all Jedi mind tricks. But it was a focus. Again, he didn't talk a lot about basketball, but the stuff he did, it was heat centered. And we've all seen the video. Tiff, after the ceremony, he went down to give Eric Spoelstra a big old hug.
Because that's his guy.
Yeah.
It's the type of thing. It's like we've been lifelong friends. I cannot talk to you for 6 months, but when I see you, I'm running and jumping into your arms. Like that's the relationship that he has. It's also kind of like, we'd be remiss to act like they didn't, part in a shitty way, because they did. Like that's part of life. Like that's the thing. Life happens and we forget because it's sports that life doesn't happen. No, it happens. They partied in shitty ways. And honestly, we're all thankful that the Heat came to their senses and brought him home. Like that's the reality of it. I'm sure he wanted to come back because guess what? We're all sure he didn't want to leave. Like, let's just be honest about it.
Oh no, he said it. He straight up.
Right. But I'm saying because some people don't want to ever admit that. But no, he didn't want to leave. But also, like, you're not gonna play in my face and think I'm gonna sit here and take it. Like that's literally what happened. You don't go up there in like your brightest moment and talk about things that don't mean anything to you. Like, let's just be honest. The one thing he walked away from the Chicago Bulls with was what? Jimmy Butler. Nothing else. The one thing he walked away from the Cavs was absolutely nothing.
Coming home.
Exactly. So I'm not going to be on a date. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on a date with I don't know who, but I'm not on a date and I'm talking about the other one. Right? Like that's it. And that's it. Like you're not going to talk about all these other things because they mean nothing.
Well, he talked about what mattered. The people that mattered, including the Mario Chalmers shout out, which was the funniest part of the interview of the not the interview, the speech, but
it's the core of his legacy too. Like I mean, it's just when you think about nobody in 20 years, it's going to be a little trivia question. Like, what are the two other teams he played for? And people will be like, he played for other teams.
It's like the Hakeem thing.
It's exactly the Hakeem thing. Nobody remembers
that.
And G, you ask, how much does he credit, his success to the Heat? And surely he credits it a lot. Skinny put something down below. But it's the other way
the
around.
quote is, by the way,
yeah,
for the pod audience, thank you for bringing me into that culture, because without it, I probably would have been lost.
Right.
But like the other way around, like how much of the 21st century Heat can credit their success to Dwyane Wade? It's just he benefits so much by tying his legacy to that team. It's inextricable, and the more he leans into it, like the better he's looked at. And I think nobody wants to compare this to Dame, and I don't think it's similar. It's not that similar, but I do think it's one of those things where like Dame undoubtedly loves Portland, their fans. He loves being a trailblazer. Does he love Joe Cronin and their decisions? No, like obviously not. But like those are two separate things. And I think we see it more and more with players where they're like, yeah, I love this team. Do I love this organization? Like those are very different concepts. And like he might not always love Pat Riley. Like, and I don't know what the relationship's like now, but I'm sure sometimes Dwyane Wade's like, you fucking owe me, old man. Like you would be like a Lakers has-been.
But you know what, Zach?
Right.
I think Pat is at the point that he would say, I do. I think that
Oh,
maybe it's naive. I think that that's a man who had a lot of ego because you don't get to where he got, you know, without being a little warped. And I think time has he's a little soft and he's a little bit more emotional. And I think he's come to the realization that I do owe you.
right. I think he did. I think they had their coming
I-
to Jesus moment.
They
I
did.
think they already had it. But here's the
It
question
took
that
the
I
death
have.
of Henry Thomas, but
Right. Right.
sometimes through tragedy
Right.
comes,
I have a question for you guys because the marriage between Wade and the Heat, where else do you see that? Look at his generation and look at the players within his generation. Where do you see that type of successful marriage? Like who else had that with the team?
successful marriage. I had to go to therapy and it worked.
I think, I mean, it's
People might
the
have
one
said
that it's going to
Dame.
get compared to is Dirk. Oh, like right now, like present
No, I
day.
think Tiff's saying
ongoing.
his
Yeah.
I think his
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
his contemporaries.
Yeah.
That
Dwayne
doesn't
Wade's
exist.
contemporaries.
Udonis.
Yeah.
Well, I mean
It's
outside of
Udonis,
the
it's-
Heat.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
outside of Heat. Like what other player on a different team would you say had that type of successful, and I don't mean just winning. I mean just the idea of what you brought to the city, what you brought to each other as teammates. Like who else has that or had it?
I think Thunder fans might look at Westbrook that way. But that's like
They live in
five
Oklahoma.
that's 5 steps
Right.
below, right?
Right. That's
Yeah, it's
that's the bottom
they're
floor
And
of the
I don't
house.
think that's a bad one, you know. And you're going to make fun of me. I think the way the Raptors love Kyle Lowry, but again, it's like 6 steps below. You know what I mean?
But and I do want to compare it to the Dirk thing because Dirk is huge in Dallas. Everybody adores him. He's an
Is he the
impossible
biggest
guy not to
is he like bigger
nationally.
than
Well,
Jack?
that's
Is he
kind of the thing I was going to talk about is it's Dallas. It's the Cowboys. It's gonna be the Cowboys whether they're dog
Yeah,
shit or
I was
not.
gonna say it's gonna
Like,
be Emmitt Smith. It's gonna be. I'm just gonna start
yeah,
naming Dallas
it's
Cowboys.
Aikman, it's Smith, it's any Cowboy, and like,
Right.
look, it doesn't mean Dirk's not important there, but that is a Cowboys town, and it's always going to be a Cowboys town. People in Miami love the Dolphins, but they don't. It's not like
Right.
that. Like being a Cowboys fan is a core part of like being a Dallas
Right.
like resident in a way that being a Mavs fan just isn't. It's not a basketball town by any means. I do think Dirk is crazy important there, and he represents the franchise as completely as any player could. And I
Right.
like maybe Luka gets there. I just don't like. It's just different. Like
Yeah.
Luka's not that personality for one. Like Luka, is not nearly as likable as Dirk. I don't think
Right.
he's as iconic. Like in terms of like just, I mean, the statue of Dirk in Victory Park, like right outside the arena, is the fadeaway. It's like
Right.
arguably what like the second most iconic shot form in the history of basketball. Like it's that big, and he's a guy who I think represented a lot of things for that fan base that maybe they didn't like about other NBA
Mhm.
players. Like that's part of it is like Dirk existed in opposition to Dwayne Wade. Like
Right.
in large part, like he existed in opposition to this mentality of player movement, player empowerment, like intentionally or not. Like he was the
Right.
guy who put a stop to that, who did it on his own, who won with kind of a shitty organization.
Right.
No,
Not
I
kind
mean,
of.
offense. Yeah, but I mean, Dallas fans wouldn't say that. Like, but it is true. Like Dallas was not like a well-run organization while
Let's
Dirk
see
was
what
there.
they're
and he
let's
won
see what they're
despite-
saying when Buddy over there decides to go for greener pastures.
But that's the other thing. Is like that's how rare it is. Is like
Right.
Luka could be out of there in 2 years and nobody would really think twice about it. Like people almost kind of expect that. Like they certainly don't expect you to stick there through thick and thin. Like, but even that said, I think Dwayne
I have the
Wade
contemporary.
looms way larger in Miami than Dirk does in Dallas. As
I have
big
the
as
one.
Dirk is in Dallas.
I have the one, Jack. It's Steph.
Fuck Steph.
It's Steph.
He
It's
ruined
Steph.
basketball.
It's Steph. I was like, I've been racking my brain and I go, it's Steph.
Yeah,
and
I
he
mean,
means,
yeah.
and he obviously that's a Niners city. I think he's the one guy that probably goes above that.
What
Him and
city?
only
What
him.
city do they play in?
They play in San Francisco.
Yeah, now they do.
Now they do. They played in Oakland before, and
Yeah.
the Niners actually don't play in San Francisco anymore. They play somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, Steph is huge and like.
Oh,
kinda
Cardiliana said
similarly-
Curry in the chat. I didn't see. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was
Just
preparing.
stealing takes.
I was
Damn.
preparing a video for when we're done with this, but yeah,
Bronx Joker said John Stockton.
he does represent them. I'll say that.
But
John Stockton does represent the views of Salt Lake City. I can't argue that.
Aside from the political like insanity of John Stockton, though, like, is that still true? Like, I don't really know any jazz fans. Like, is he more so than Karl Malone? I get why you wouldn't want to be associated with
I think some people. I would imagine. I would hope that people that are fans of that team would want to distance themselves from Karl Malone. I don't know how true that is because
and not John Stockton.
Right.
I think if you had to pick one,
Right. If you got to pick one.
I'm picking Bojan Bogdanovic. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just pretending like the 90s didn't happen.
They don't have Donovan Mitchell. I mean, it would have been Gordie Hayward. You know, he was.
They have
He
Lowry.
was so Blue Lives Matter. They loved him. I'm so sorry. I saw this. You know, Jack, to your point, I saw this one tweet by Chef Trilly today that I thought was kind of speaks to what you're saying. He says, Dame has too much respect for the organization, fans, in the city of Portland. Deep down inside, he doesn't want to leave, but he knows he has to leave if he wants to compete. He wanted this process to be quick and simple, but Cronin wanted his 50 minutes of fame. I think that's well put.
No, people want that career. Like, that's why it's
Yeah.
so people strive for that. Like, nobody wants to be James Harden, not even James Harden.
And we're going to get to that.
wants
I want
be
to close
that
the weight
guy.
stuff because I think we're veering a little bit off, but yeah, we're going to get to that. And chat that we're going to get to Damon, but yeah, just to put a bow on the Dwyane stuff. So we have a video here. And I didn't want to cut you off, Jack. I did want to bookend this before we transition to make fun of the other organizations. Oh, he left. That's protest. So our producer and co-founder Brian, who's a little sick right now, he sent this video to play. I have no idea what this video is. He said it's really good and it's very pertinent. He says it's germane to your conversation. So let's see what Dwyane Wade has to say.
Miami family, we are like real family. We love hard. I thank you guys for drafting me on that night. I thank you guys for picking me fifth and bringing me into that culture. Because without it, I probably would have been lost. And so I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all for giving me that opportunity to be in that environment that I was able to be in. Thank you guys for the experiences and the love, because it's forever.
Dwyane is the star of stars. I think we all envy how he can navigate everything and where we admire it so much. And I know I probably speak for so many people in the room, but where we just wish we could live like that for one day. He's a star of stars, to be acknowledged, to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's the star of stars at the human side of life. And I take that more than anything. This room right here shows it as much as anything, that he's about family, he's about friends, it's about this collective unit, but the human side, the human touch, he knocks that out of the park. And I think that's something that we'll all take with us for the rest of our lives.
I love Spo so much, man.
Got me a little bit.
That was
Fucking
good.
Brian.
That was good. Fucking Brian.
Fucking Brian.
Always producing, baby. Always on the job. I love Spo, man. And one thing I tweeted once the ceremony was finished, I said it had to be Dwyane. I'm so thankful that it was him, and it couldn't have been anybody else. I think the reason why we're talking to you guys right now is because of him. The reason why we're friends And we're like, all of us who have come to be, we're legitimate friends. Even the people that aren't here anymore, even, I mean, Jack, we still talk to Leif almost every day. You know what I mean? And the people that we've met because of this through all over the country and the world is moving. Tiff, we text all the time. We talk about our families. We don't even, and that was brought together by this guy who made us love this thing that we've dedicated our lives to. And it had to be him, and he stands for all the right things, all the things that are important to us, the money that we raise for trans kids and people this summer. Like, he inspired a lot of that in people, and all the good that he's done, not just outside of the basketball court, all the things he stood for, and he said, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. I mean, I even thought that, I mean, he tried to kiss his dad on stage. Men are afraid to do that. You know what I mean? For him, as somebody, Jack, you've always talked about this, and I thought you've been so eloquent on this, how Dwyane has always broken barriers of masculinity. That, like, just for him to give his dad a kiss on stage, for him to paint his nails while he's playing in the NBA, probably nowadays it makes sense probably to show solidation with his daughter, but still, like, just a man that has always gone counterculture for the betterment of everybody. And I'm just glad it was him, man.
Yeah, whether it's like, whether it's as, kind of a spokesman for a cause or just as a human being, or even on the court, I think he's challenged a lot of like masculine expectations. Like, even if you just go to 2011, like taking the back seat as a star for another star is breaking a masculine norm that's inextricably tied to superstardom. Like, not to trivialize it to the point that we're just having a conversation about basketball, but the point is that, like, he walks that talk like every day, like in all walks of life. Like, he's just that dude. Like, he's a selfless, like, unapologetic human being. Like, I think a lot of people, a lot of men, whether they're athletes or just men on the street, restrict themselves emotionally or like in work, in friendship, as fathers, as sons, from, expressing what they want to express, because there are expectations of how you're going to act in any walk of life. And I think he's never really abided by that. He's eschewed that because he's Dwyane Wade. He's going to live his life. And I think we saw that with that speech. Like, it's beautiful stuff, man. I think it's rare that you have a sports role model that is that knowable and open and just complete as a figure of admiration. Like, not to put him on a pedestal, he's a very human guy, but like, as far as humans go, man, like, there are a lot worse that you could look up to, or a lot of people who aren't out there like that. Like, we talk about other sports figures and they're sports figures. Like, I'm going to keep saying this. Like, he's not a sports figure. He's just a figure. Like, he's out there. He's doing different shit. Like, he's never restricted himself to being seen one way. And I don't know. It touches a lot of things, and he's touched a lot of lives. And like, just him out there with his daughter, man. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's just rare, unexpected, and beautiful how public, eloquent, defensive, and he's just fought for her every fucking day. And it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen a public figure do, let alone an athlete. And I think the fact that it is an athlete doing it just makes it that much, like, more special, just because there are loads of expectations on who you are going to be as a man, as an athlete. And he has not received any shortage of hate, not to give those people a spotlight, but like,
Right.
Dude, like, even before that, like, he's been getting shit for not being the man that, people want him to be. And he's been brave. He's been courageous for himself and for other people. And yeah, I'm rambling, but
No.
it's
Tiff,
special stuff.
Tiff, I want you to have the last word on this before we pivot to the news of the day.
Um, it was very, I don't know, and I've told you this because I grew up. It's Michael Jordan. That's it. I'm from Illinois, so you know, I was a kid. I got to watch Michael Jordan do incredible things, right? And I literally once he retired, and I was like a young adult. I just literally stopped watching ball. And I got a phone call from a friend, and they said, "Yo, check out so and so at Marquette. This kid's gonna be really good." And the first game I watched, he had a bad game, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. This kid looks a little skinny, got a big head. Like, I don't know if his body's gonna fill out. Like, just didn't look quite right." I said, "But I'll keep watching." And you could see it. It's the batter who goes up once, strikes out. They go up that second time, they foul off a couple of pitches, and all of a sudden you start to see the ball slow down for them. So all of a sudden I'm watching Marquette, and all of a sudden this kid is taking over the game, and I was like, "Oh." And you saw it in his face. You saw him reading the passes. You saw him getting in his defensive stance. You saw him knowing where to be on the court. And I kept watching, and I said, "He's going to be really good." Then he gets to the Final Four, and I'm like, "All right, let me see where this kid's drafted. I might watch some games." The Heat pick him up, and I thought, "All right, I'll watch some of these games." But that was back then when you couldn't watch all the games, so I had to wait for this to come on TV. So I'm watching, and I thought, "All right." First year goes by, second year, and I'm like, "Looks a little different. Looked a little stronger, looked a little faster." And I was like consumed by his game. And his game wasn't 35 points every night. And that's what I think drew me in. It was, I can score, and I know I can score, but I know I also need these guys. I need to keep people interested in the game. I need to keep people involved in the game. And as somebody who's watching that, that's the type of person that just draws you in. Um, I think for me, the saddest part, and as a selfish fan, I never got to watch him play a home game in Miami. That's like the saddest for me. Like now woe is me. I saw him play in like honestly 12 different states just because I traveled to those states. So it's first world problems that I'm crying about. I don't want nobody in the chat crying. Woe is Tiff, but I like I saw Jordan play at the Madhouse on Madison, right? So I would have loved to see Wade play a game in Miami. It just wasn't in the cards. I never got to do it. But I feel like for me, going through like the Jordan era, going through like Wade's era, like I was blessed to be able to watch basketball at its purest, where it was just someone with incredible talent and just putting it on display because they knew people were watching. They knew people paid to see them, and they wanted to give you a show. And that's how I felt when I traveled. And listen, you know how much money I coughed up to watch Wade play in the playoffs at the Garden? Coughed up a lot of money. But
Oh,
you
I
know
can't
what?
imagine. I listen to somebody that ain't cheap.
I still got the ticket. I still got the ticket to his last game at the Garden. I have it sitting here on my desk.
They won, right? It was game. Did they win?
Yeah, they won. I got the ticket. I got it right here. Those are special to me because he's always. I didn't know the man he was going to become, but there was always something so special about him that I
Always
just
carried himself in a great way.
I loved him, and that's just literally what it was. It was this relationship that you felt like he opened himself up to be with the fans.
Basketball's special because they're on almost every night. So
Right.
they're in your living room with you every night. And Tiff, I'm glad that you had that experience. You got to see D Wade, rip Knicks fans hard in the Garden. in person. I got to see Kyle Lowry do it. You know, we all got to see our icons do it on the biggest
Jack,
stage.
Look what he did. He shoehorned him in. He
I can't even.
shoehorned. Yo, Jack, he shoehorned him in. You knew that was coming, right?
He's prepping. He's ready. He's been getting his like little agendas in.
I'm gonna tell you something.
He's like, this is just an innocent conversation about Dwyane Wade, and it's like Messi sucks, and you're just like, you came for.
Corleone just goes, no one wants to hear about Kyle. Let me tell you something. Everyone's like, oh no, we're not getting Dame, and I was just like, we're keeping Kyle Lowry, baby. Let's go.
Come on.
So obviously, great bookend. Tiff's words are beautiful, and so are Jack. So hopefully we get to see more of Dwyane going forward. Hopefully we get to do a show that he's part owner someday and with UD and all that stuff. But in the meantime, today, James Harden in China. He caused some shit today, Jack. James Harden really with one of the quotes of all time, I will say. And he basically called Daryl Morey a liar. He said Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Then he goes, let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will no longer be a part of an organization that he's a part of. These little kids came to watch James Harden hoop, and this man caused an international incident. Jack, the GOAT of requesting trades, Dame Lillard needs to watch James Harden film, not on the court, on how to get out of a city.
I respect the hell out of him, man. He is an icon. And his speaking of that, like his Hall of Fame speech is gonna be fucking hilarious because
he's gonna ask all the strippers.
Right. Wait till we see who's sitting in the front row for him. It's gonna be Sparkle.
Candy with
it's
a
gonna
K.
Be Riri.
Candy with a C.
Candy with the C and a K. Me.
This would be, if Hangover Time was around. Think of the jokes, man. Think of what we could have done.
It's gonna be a girl walking around with pasties on, with wings, passing them out.
Skinny McGee said Sparkle.
I'll always respect a player who, like, I do always love the athletes who are like, this is a job. I don't give a shit about this. Like, if I don't like it, I'm going to find another job. I'm good enough at it. Cinnamon is doing in his induction speech, wearing the suit with the,
yes.
like,
oh,
dude.
dude.
Dwyane Wade.
But D Wade had AI sitting next to him. Harden's just going to have like a pole.
and every other minute, glitter will just drop down.
Yeah. A pole and a buffet. That man's a go to buffets too. I mean, one of the greats.
I'm not a huge fan of his game, but I've always been a fan of this stuff. Like, it's always been fun to watch. I think the way people get personally offended at it is like incredible to me. Like, I don't want to name names, but Josh Eberle, he's hurt, man.
Shout out to Josh, that's my homie, but he's a hurt Mavs fan.
He blocked me today. He's not even like James Harden's never played for his team. He is physically, personally betrayed by James Harden not wanting to work for Daryl Morey anymore. And it's like, I don't give a shit if it's like reasonable or not. Like, I know he's burned bridges like team after team, but it's like, that's Daryl Morey, man. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not siding with Daryl Morey, man. Like, you're not going to get me to that point in my life where I'm going like, you know what? Daryl Morey actually had a good point there. Like, I'm not going to his little like music festival for stat nerds that he has every summer. Like, you're not going to catch me like that. I'm not.
Kristen and I want to go next year.
Okay. I'm sorry.
We got to report live. We got to report from the ground. Looking at some stats.
I know it smells crazy in there.
Oh my God. It's Jack, it's all like patchouli oils and like
oh, it's awful. Nobody's showered in days.
It's just like
Those suits have never been dry
Dave
cleaned.
Matthews on a loop. Oh boy,
Steve, stop.
I can't. I can't. Like Rusted Root playing that like blasted.
Oh my god.
But no, it's like for as much as I want to just be like Harden is whatever. I can't, yeah, you can't. First of all, let's be honest. Daryl Morey is the worst parent you've ever seen. Like all parents know, you don't make promises. Like that's just what you do. You find ways to make promises without making promises. Like I got an 8-year-old. Oh, she loves 3 things: shopping, the movies, and to go to Popeyes. Can we go shopping, then go to the movies, and take Popeyes to the movies? Well, we could go shopping. Maybe we'll go to the movies and get Popeyes. We'll see. Oh, can you give back this $15 million so we can add 2 players who probably won't do anything for the team this year? Oh, you can? Oh, you want to do that, but you want an extension. Oh, okay. So we'll withhold the money. Maybe we'll give you an extension. I don't know, but we'll see. That's how that conversation should have went. Also, the conversation should have went, oh, you want me to give you money to bring in PJ Tucker? Do you really want PJ Tucker? Because you might want to just go over the cap for PJ Tucker if you want him. I ain't going to be able to do it. My money's tied up. It's tied up in cinnamon steaks. It's tied up in sparkle steaks. It's tied up in wings. It's tied up in pasties. I don't know. Maybe I can move some. Right. Maybe I can move some money around. I don't know. But Harden fell for the okie doke. So there's 2 problems here. One, you got the worst father alive. 2, you got a kid who wasn't focused on the conversation. Like, do you want a new PlayStation game or you want to go cut the grass? He wasn't listening, so he's out there cutting the grass. Like, this is literally what happened. This is what happened.
Oh my god. Dude. And you know what he did? Now, and this is a tantrum.
Yes. This is what happened. Listen,
But
I'm a
imagine
parent.
if your kids could talk to journalists in China.
This was and guess what? I'm not gonna lie. That's the shit my 8-year-old would have did. Guess what? I ain't never following my mom's rules no more. Let me say it again. My mom is an asshole. I'm not following her rules no more. Because that's what kids do.
Your daughter, my mom is a liar. I will never be a part of that household again. Let me say that again. Child services, are you listening? Like the media is like James Harden's child services.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what children do. You say one thing, they hear something else. So Daryl Morey just he fucked up the situation. He made promises, I'm assuming, because I do feel like he promised something. You know, they might not have said specifically we're maxing you out, but let's be honest. They did offer him, you know, a Cadillac and 4 strippers. Like they offered something that they didn't give him.
My man was
it's
promised.
Also like people can be mad at James Harden and be like he's unreasonable, and they might be right. Like they are right. Like James Harden's not like the most stable operator always.
Right.
And people can say that about Ben Simmons. He wasn't the most stable operator either. But at a certain point, it is the entirety of your job as a general manager to either not acquire those guys or to manage them when you do. And so if you fuck up the relationship, sorry, G, I'm dropping F-bombs left and right. I know this is
fucking drop them.
But
drop them.
Drop that shit.
But if you mess up that relationship, that's on you. Like that is your job description is like sign people who you can maintain relationships with. And like people have been talking about like Harden being in trouble because he's not going to get what he wants. And I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, like no matter how you cut it, the Sixers are screwed without him. Like people can say James Harden's not good. He averaged over 20 and led the league in assists. He's better than not having him. Like, and I'm sorry, Tyrese Maxey. I'm a Tyrese Maxey fan.
Right.
Like,
he cute and all, but He not ready to
He's
be
not
the
James
guy.
Harden,
He's not Candy with
and
a
he's
K.
also
No.
he's not Candy with the K. Like it's not going to go well for them, and like you have to maintain these relationships whether they're being unreasonable or not, because otherwise Joel Embiid's going to be acting unreasonable in a couple of years. So I
mean, Jack, it ain't been going well throughout the process. No pun intended. But it's just like, this is like, but here's the thing. Like, everyone who's been in a relationship understands one of you in the relationship is unreasonable. The other person, if you want to be with that person, has to meet some demands. For instance, I don't drink coffee every day, right? But some days I like
sicko are you?
I like because I like tea. I prefer tea.
Okay,
but
okay.
there's some days I want a frozen coffee, which is probably 3 times a month, right? But guess who said today, "Oh, can somebody buy me a frozen coffee maker?" Me. That's an unreasonable demand for somebody who's only going to use it 3 times a month. But who's expecting the coffee
You drive me
maker?
crazy, the one-use appliances. Tiff, you're crazy.
Right. But
Not
who's
in my
expecting,
kitchen, goddammit.
But who's expecting the coffee maker? Me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
and
the James
you either
Harden.
gotta have that conversation,
your wife
or you
gotta
gotta
be
get him the
different-
coffee maker.
Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
You can't just be like, it's unreasonable. I'm just not gonna talk about it because
Exactly. Oh,
You're
but
gonna
I
be like-
expect you to show up, Tiff, and do your thing. I expect you to take Jordan to school. Not if I don't have coffee.
Does Brass have an extra one lying around?
But you but you get what I'm saying. Like, we have to stop acting like we didn't know who Harden was. He's shown you who he is. Maya Angelou told y'all, when people show you who they are, believe
It's
them.
also-
Tiff,
Morey
you want
didn't
to
just
hold on? I
meet
want
him
to.
either. They've known each other for a decade.
Right, I didn't
he
just
brought him
meet
here
you.
because he knows him. Like
Exactly.
it's silly.
You knew she
It's
was
goofy.
crazy. You
Yeah.
knew she was crazy.
You just
but
didn't
you
master
said
her
I
on the
like her
app.
game.
You
Hey,
guys
happens
broke
to the
up.
best of us.
You broke
broke
up.
up and went back.
But
Baby.
see, here's the thing.
Baby, it
Harden
wasn't
didn't
me.
go back.
It was
Let's
CP.
talk about it though. But G, think about it this way. Harden didn't just go back. Like, seeds had to have been planted for him to make his way back to Daryl Morey. You know what I'm saying? So like, Daryl Morey is just as culpable in this weird relationship as James Harden is. Now y'all got to stand up. Now y'all at a standoff. Harden gonna show up fat. Morey's gonna act like he don't know what's going on.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
it's
brother.
weird.
I'm sorry, Morey. Harden's a pro. Morey tried this before and lost. Harden's gonna win. You can't outsmart the GOAT. He's the GOAT at this.
Right.
He's gonna wear an even fatter suit. You want me to get fat? Bet. My favorite activity. Buffet.
He's gonna call Eddie Murphy's guy.
Hercules.
Does Tyler Perry have another fat suit lying around, or
We don't talk about Tyler Perry.
is he canceled? I don't know. Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. A couple quotes from Woj I thought were interesting. He said this has been escalating behind the scenes all year. Now it's playing out in public. James Harden and his agent believed that they were not going to get the kind of extension they wanted, which was longer term, closer to the max.
Yeah, Woj just tweeting that about me in the grocery store. When my
Exactly.
This has been
Right.
bubbling behind the scenes for years.
Jack thought he was getting those eggs on sale, but he did not.
When Tiffany's heat beat, we're gonna get one of those like butt crack sports infographics with Tiff. This has been escalating, and it's all about the gaming chair.
Right. Speaking of that chair,
Listen, now we gotta get you a gaming chair and a frappuccino maker.
I still want my polo, my heat beat polo from like day one.
Oh, okay. We're
From
doing
year
10. We're
one.
doing 10-year anniversary polos. I gotta
Yeah.
get your size.
I want the original one. I'm sorry.
But
I know you have it.
You may be.
I
I
mean,
don't know where that is.
mean, you knew who Jack was when you brought
Yeah.
him on.
You know who I was. You know, I'm not the most organized motherfucker out here. You know you married, goddammit.
I see Alex wearing that polo from time to time, and I'm like, you don't even work here.
You don't
You
even work
left.
here.
You left for
Yeah.
Ethan
What are you
Skolnick.
doing? I didn't leave.
I mean-
I mean, I did leave, but like, I didn't leave to go anywhere better. I just,
Corneliana says she's a liar. I will never be a part of the NBA
let me
podcast.
say
Let
it
me
again.
say it
Let me say it again. Carlisiana said, for the people in the back.
In the back. For all the chatters in the back. All y'all just, man, I'm just sad that we're not doing hangover time right now. Think of the potential of Alf doing the James Harden thing with brass
Oh
editing.
my God.
Which could have been generational. We were talking pregame what Alf and Brass could have done with the blindside stuff today. You
That would have been beautiful.
missed out.
Also, just leave Sandra Bullock alone. It is not her fault.
Why are they treating her like Reggie Bush got to give back his Heisman? Like, poor lady.
She did not know the truth.
The proposal. Yo, I love the proposal, bro.
Just leave her alone, man.
Proposal's great.
Just leave
she
Sandy
made
alone.
Speed.
Right. Like, come on.
Yeah. I don't even remember
made-
that movie.
She made Love Potion #9. Leave her alone. Y'all.
We were talking about her in the Stream Beat chat the other day. We were talking about practical
Yes, and
magic
look at what
shit.
happened.
Oh man.
But you know what, G? Let me ask y'all a serious, non-serious question. If they said to you, and we're Dame aside, if they said to you, for baubles and this coffee that I'm drinking, you can have James Harden on this here team right now, this Heat team right
Heat
now.
team?
Yes, are you taking him?
What am I giving up?
I said baubles and this coffee. Like,
Well,
his-
if
come
I'm
on.
thinking about it realistically, like you need
Yes.
to send one of the big contracts to make it work.
Right.
So Tyler
Right.
or Lowry.
Lowry.
No, I'd rather
Yeah, Lowry. Come on.
I'd rather have Lowry.
What if it was Tyler? What if it was Tyler?
I'd rather keep Tyler. No way. I'm not trading fucking
Okay,
20.
good. I just wanted to
22
make sure that was just a
32.
sanity check.
Okay,
I
I'm
like
just-
Tyler. I'm not part of
I
this
like
like
Tyler too.
anti-Tyler contingent. I just have eyes, and I'm not going to say a guy that
I
might
just
make
have-
an all-star team or two or fucking Damian Lillard. I'm not stupid, but I like him, and I think he's
Right.
good. I don't even think he's that overpaid. I think as the cap changes, the deal's going to be more valuable. Like, I like him. I think he's good. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. Bro, there's so many fucking shitty people out in the world that are doing really awful things to their partners and spouses and like saying horrible, irresponsible shit. So
Losing the plot.
I know. I'm just saying that like he's a good kid. He's like a good. He
That's
seems like a
exactly-
good guy who
Right.
likes the city,
No, that's
who
what I
works
said to every
hard.
girlfriend I've ever had is you're a good kid. I just have eyes. I like you.
Candy
I'm
with
not
a
like
K.
the other people. Other people
Damian
are talking
Lillard,
shit about
candy
you.
with
Said-
the K.
I
said-
like you. Like,
Hey, see now to bring us back, said James Harden to Philly.
exactly.
I'm not.
Just
Listen,
looking
James.
over there.
I will say this.
Kinda nice, I don't know.
You know, we talked about this a lot last season about the vibes. I think James was a vibe killer. I think James
what
is a
makes
vibe
you
killer.
say that? Was it him burning the bridge with Brooklyn, or was
Or
it
what?
the Sixers, or with the Rockets, or?
I would say with the Thunder it started.
I mean, he just killed the vibe in the 2012 finals, like that.
Bro,
Yeah, he
how
did.
does somebody
that was a
have?
killer.
Bro, he might as well not have been there. It was so bad.
No, it would have been better if he wasn't there. He was like,
It
would have been
actively
better.
detrimental to the team. He was messing up. Like, I
Westbrook's
wanna say
having 41
yes.
on the
I
road,
like-
and Harden's shitting
Yeah.
himself. Jeff Green's outplaying him in the finals.
I think the thing about Harden, and this could be said for a lot of players who are, immensely talented, but like it goes back to the D Wade thing. At some point, all of that talent, you got to make other people better to get where you need to get to. And
I think he makes guys better, Tiff, but like in a very pigeonholed way. Like
and-
he'll
and
get you
what do you
open.
mean?
He'll get you open shots. Like he'll get shooters open shots, and
But
he'll
there's
get his
I-
big man.
I think
He'll
there's
get
a
his big
difference
man-
between
There, yes,
getting people
there's a
shots
difference.
and making
Yep.
people better. Like, I think Jimmy Butler doesn't
Capella,
always make
I
people
disagree.
better.
Ariza,
like-
Ariza was his best next to Harden. I think Clay Capella was his best. PJ had great years. I think that I don't think that's fair. I do think Tiff, like a guy like Jimmy, does so much more on the court, and Harden, too many things have to go through him that the offense becomes predictable, heliocentric, and you gotta adjust to him. He doesn't adjust to you.
But that's the thing where he doesn't make you better. Because, for instance,
He makes certain kinds of guys better.
who knew PJ could dribble? I
Yeah, to
didn't
be
know.
honest with you, I don't even know if PJ knew he could dribble.
Well, because he's been standing in the corner for years.
And that goes back to even Toronto, right? That
Right,
and I credit
but-
Spo for that.
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
at some point, just because you're getting me an open look, I still got to stand there and wait for it. Like, you're not. I'm moving around you. You've never taken the chance to move around me, and that's where I think with Harden and with other players, it just kind of.
I missed you, Schmeathan. I was about to be like, I went a day without shaving. And I was like, I should probably shave before the podcast.
It's too late.
And then
Schmeathan
I was
I
says,
got you.
no, that's fine. I'm probably fine. Schmeathan Schmolnick probably won't be watching.
Schmeathan said Jack looks like his beard is on installment agreement. I'm sorry. That's
But-
too funny.
But G, I think the thing about it is that, like, and that's the reason why, like, I asked if you would take him on the Heat, because as it stands, he can still go out there and get you 23 points, 10, assists, and I don't know if he's getting rebound. I don't know.
He probably
what's
make
happening.
Bam better, but I don't think he helps Jimmy.
No, and that's a problem for a guy who's ball dominant.
He would be the best pick and roll partner Bam's ever had, and I don't think it's close.
But the problem
Bar.
is that, like,
He played with Dwyane for a little. Played Dwyane at the end.
the team
Yeah,
isn't.
no.
But the team isn't built for all of a sudden for Bam to be that guy.
I think it
'Cause
doesn't
if-
work because Jimmy's also not like a shooter. Like I think if Jimmy was like I think your question's good. I wouldn't take him for a lot of reasons, but like kind of complicates like Jimmy's role and Tyler's role, and I don't know.
Well, first of all, like, are we going to sit here and pretend we want a backcourt of Tyler and Harden? Like,
I don't think
wanna
Eric
watch that.
Spoelstra. I don't think Eric Spoelstra wants that.
But
I
I
think
think-
even like, yeah, from a more nuanced perspective of like making your team better, like X's and O's, James Harden, very good player, very good passer, very
Right.
good scorer, creates space for other people, would be a very good passer, like pick and roll partner for Bam. Like the fit with Jimmy could work on paper, but it's also like, look at how these Heat teams, I mean, he's talented enough where hypothetically it could work, G. But like
They win when everyone touches the ball.
But no, that's exactly what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
there is kind of a way that these recent Heat teams in the Jimmy era have won, and it hasn't always been like out talent guys. It's been, this is a really tight knit group that plays hard together. They're on their shit defensively. Even the guys like Tyler who aren't the best defenders try to do what they need to
And
do.
rebounds,
They
like
have
he's
right.
gang rebounding. Like there is a collectivity to the way the Heat play. Like, not to be the whole culture guy and that he's not a culture guy, but this is a tangible thing. This is the way the Heat play.
Right.
And like they have guys like Jimmy is a motivator. Like off the court, whether he's making you better on the court or not, he usually is. But like off the court, he's, pumping up Max Strus. He's pumping up like Gabe Vincent. Like he's out there for those guys. I've never seen James Harden do that for anybody. And it's not to like attack his character as a man. It's just like,
It's not who he is.
It's a difference between, two different players. And Jimmy Butler is the identity of the Heat right now. Bam Adebayo is the identity of the Heat right now.
Right.
James Harden's a big enough personality where you can't just bring him in and have him acquiesce to your identity. Like he's his own guy. He's been in the league long enough. Nobody's told him what to do. It's like, there are certain people who, if they're young and they're very talented or very like, nobody wants to tell them no. And then they get to 33.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell them no now. Like, I don't care who you are.
Right.
Like it's just how it goes.
So, well, who is James Harden right now as a player? I don't care about the other stuff, but as like he doesn't want to be in Philly. Okay, fine. I get it. I understand it. Whatever happened. Not my business, but my place to laugh. That's it. Right? But who is he? Like let's say he gets the trade to the Clippers. Who is he on that team? Like, I don't understand where the like with him just as a talent. Like, I don't know where he fits in a team that already has really good talent.
The
Because
Clippers?
any team
I'll
at this
say
point.
for-
Well, I think the
To
Clippers.
Harden's
Sorry, Jack.
credit. Oh, I think to Harden, I'll defend him. I think people were kind of down on him. I liked him with the Sixers on the court. I thought
No,
he
I do
did a lot
too.
of good
That's what
things.
I'm
I liked
saying.
how he grew as a player a little bit. I do think the Clippers could use that level of point guard competence. Like,
Well, they also need a
with
guy to
those
just
wings.
be there because the other guys miss so many games that.
But that's the
Yeah,
problem,
but
though. He's not the
they're
guy
kind
when
of a
it's
non-existent team in general. Like,
Right.
I don't
One of the
believe that
three
Paul
has to be
George or
healthy.
Kawhi Leonard are
all right.
real
Well, here's the
NBA players
problem.
anymore.
If Kawhi is healthy, if Paul George is healthy, if Russ is there, and Russ is always healthy, and then you add James to that, and whoever the fifth person would be, you're not dribbling the air out of the ball with that team. You might go 6 possessions and not touch the ball. And this is where I sit and I say, is that okay for James? Like, I know you want to get there. I know you want to win, and those guys are really good. But, like, you're not getting the ball over Kawhi. Like, there is no way in hell I'd have Kawhi out there, and Harden's pounding the ball. Like, when does the moment happen where he's okay, number one, being off the ball, because he would have to be off the ball a lot to be with that team. And number two, you can't just stand at half court when the ball's going the other way. So, like, when does that moment happen where he makes the decision to say, I need to do the little things? Because it can't be always about him scoring. And because with a team like that, there could be games where he has 12 points and 4 assists, and they win. Is he okay with the win, even though he had, maybe nothing to do with it?
I mean, I don't think he's like, I just think it's a habit thing. I think, you're so long playing basketball a certain way, even if you wanted to change, like when it comes down to it and the pressure's up, you're going to revert to your habits. And I think that was honestly kind of good for Philly sometimes, because Embiid, you don't always want the ball in his hands. Like, Embiid's a great scorer and stuff, but like, I think it was a little different. I think with Harden, it seems like on paper, the transition to being an off-ball superstar would be so easy. Like, he's an incredible shooter.
Right.
Like, can pass within the flow of the game. Like, there's nothing technically stopping him from doing any of the things people need him to do. But, I don't see it happening at this stage. Like, I think, to bring it back to Dwyane Wade, he was not a guy who was super well equipped to become the off-ball player he was, like, relative to James Harden. But he did it quickly and did it very effectively. I just, it's so rare that instance is like part of his Hall of Fame legacy, is that he did that star players don't just do that. And I think, honestly, the Clippers could add every single player in the NBA. I would not believe they were making it out of the Western Conference Finals. Those players are part-time. I'm sorry. Like,
They should add
Kawhi
like AD.
and Paul George are clocking in, clocking out. They're working 15 hours a week.
They should add Anthony Davis, because it would be
they don't
funny.
even qualify for benefits right now.
They should add AD so they can have the 3 of the part-time guys. So what I want to bring this back to Dame so we can wrap up, because we've gone a little long. The ramifications of what Harden did today are funny, but it's also, what is the league going to do? Is the league going to step in? There was a report that the Sixers could block James Harden signing with any other team if he doesn't join the Sixers by November 2nd. I actually don't think Harden's not going to show up to work. I think he's going to do what he did in Houston, where he just showed up and didn't try. Because it sounds like, I mean, you're laughing, but like, most guys won't want to do that. Most guys don't do that because that fucks your stats up. You don't want to fuck up your numbers. But
Also,
he seems very okay with that.
I don't like that, because you're out there on the court and you're dogging it. Like, that's
He did it.
But I know. And guess what?
Done it
And he
multiple
did it a
times.
couple
And
times.
it worked. Right. Because
Right.
they're just
But
like, please don't come. If you're gonna
But
do
this
that,
could
don't
be
show
the
up.
time where he's out there and he's jacking around and gets injured. No pun intended. But
Yeah.
like I
Good.
don't like the half-hearted I'm on the court but I'm barely trying thing. Like I am.
I don't
I'm
like it
100%.
either.
My thing is don't come. Be
Yeah, but he has to come, because if not, they'll invoke that
well
clause.
if you're on the court, play. Don't dog it. Don't
Well,
it's
but
stupid.
this is where we talk about leverage, and it's like, I'll show up if you because the thing, and this is why he's the GOAT, because they'll be like, I don't want to go, and they'll like, well, you better show up. He's like, I told you I don't want to go, but if you want me to go, just know this is what you're gonna get. So once he shows up and he does that, and then they're like, actually, never mind, go, and he's like, that's what I fucking thought, right? That's why he's the GOAT.
I don't think that's gonna happen this time.
I don't.
I just
So
wanted to
they're
take
a
it
good
step
team.
further.
They're a good
Like-
team, so they may not even want him to do that, because the Rockets were bad, right? So it was a
Right.
different vibe. They're good. So, they're going to have to, they cannot get in a hole early in the Eastern Conference with how it's getting better. And, they don't play in all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. So how this affects Dame, I'm watching. I'm watching what happens, because, Lillard hasn't done what James Harden just did. And James has provided, he's the GOAT. He provided the
Right.
blueprint. I don't think Dame's going to do that, but it's there. And if James forces his way out of there, we're late in the offseason. Nobody has a lot to offer anymore. Nobody has cap space. Nobody has, it's kind of
To your
dicey.
point, G, like it is opposite situations, kind of like one. I want Harden to take it a little further. Like I think just not trying is kind of lame. I want him to like shoot on the opposing team's basket. I want him to sit down on the court. Like I want him to like
A mockery.
embarrass the league. Yeah, like don't look like
Do
you're
the
playing
Macarena?
basketball. Like just don't play basketball. Like, just,
Doing the
like, kick
Macarena
off
would be
and
so
just sit
funny.
down, do the Macarena. But like honestly, dude,
Jiggle.
I know Cronin talks about wanting to field a competitive team, but like they don't want to win games. Like I'm sorry, like what's his face? The skinny white kid just redeclared, and people really like him, that draft prospect.
Right.
I don't remember his name.
I know
It's
who
not
you're talking
Grady
about.
Dick, but you
No.
guys know what I'm talking about. They're all Grady Dick or Tyler Hero. I don't care. But no, the point is that like as much as Portland wants to talk about, wanting to field a competitive team, that's everybody knows that's bullshit. Portland fans know that's bullshit. Portland
Right.
writers know that's bullshit. And if Dame's out there, you're going to win too many games. Like they
Right.
literally sat him last year so they could get the third pick, and then they got lucky that they got Scoot. But like it's not good for you if Dame's out there playing. One, it's an injury risk, and two, if you're sitting at like 40 wins, people are going to hate that because people like that is a tanking team. And then there's also the issue of, man, Scoot is really good. He seems really excited to take over this team. Like you want him with the ball. Like
Right.
I know some Portland fans have deluded themselves into being like, Scoot can play shooting guard for a year or two. And it's like, he can. He's not going to like it though. Like, and you don't
Right.
want that as somebody who's like staking your future on Scoot being the man. Like put him in this position now, lose as many games as possible so you can draft somebody next to Scoot. Cause I'm sorry, like I like Shaden Sharp. It's not Shaden Sharp, man. Like that's not your second star. Like that. He's not that guy. Like he's athletic, he's fun, but like let's hope he's a starter
Right.
because he's not Scottie Pippen.
There's a lot to unpack with this, and I think that we've finally reached the tipping point of guys signing extensions and then asking to get moved later. I think this, Dame, I think Cronin has, like we said earlier, wanted his 15 minutes of fame and is kind of just holding this up. And I think Harden is, I wonder what Morey's going to do with Harden, especially because these two people have literally done this dance before. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think this Harden timing is certainly of note for Miami. I'm sure that, when they all got home from Springfield, they're monitoring what's being said and what's happening and kind of where this goes, because clock is ticking to training camp. And I don't know if I think the Sixers are more okay with letting this go into training camp because, I think they might want Harden to play for them I don't really think the Blazers are very interested in Dame playing for them this season, as we've talked about already.
Right.
So, they have certainly reason to want to get this done quick before training camp, before all these young prospects are bombarded with questions of Dame Lillard and stuff, and have to deal with whatever the circus is going to be going forward. And I'm sure the Heat also, because it sucks for like guys like Tyler, like Jaquez, like, Nicola, Lowry, all these guys that are like, okay, which one of us is it going to be? This has been a very weird, because usually teams just deny that, players are like, oh, nobody's talked to me. And the teams are like, there's no trade talks. This has been the weirdest thing. Everyone's like, yeah, one of us is going to go. We don't know who. It's kind of is what it is kind of thing. And it's been a little weird, but
Can I give credit to Heat fans though? Like I never do this because I hate y'all, but like I think when players like Tyler or Jaquez or Jovic get put in trade rumors, like the knives are out for you, like even amongst your own fan base. And I do think most Heat fans have been. Tyler's a different story because he's so divisive, but I do think there is an outpouring of love and appreciation for him, like whether he goes or not. People do kind of want to keep him. People like Jaquez, people like Jovic, and like
Right.
Heat fans will get criticized for overrating their own players. But like I like that more than the alternative, and then being like, why is Jaquez still here? Get him out of here. Like, let's go already. Like, it's nice to see, because I think as a young player, that uncertainty must be kind of terrifying. And then it's another thing to have like an entire community against you just for the like reason of being in a rumor. So like, I do kind of want to shout out Heat fans. I think they've mostly been pretty chill to those three guys. Hero, maybe a little less so, but yeah, this city loves Hero, man. It's going to be tough to lose him. Like I'm a Hero hater from day one, but like I've been in those arenas when he plays, when he makes big shots. Like
they love him.
They go crazy for him. Like
Cubans love little white kids.
Yeah.
Jack,
Cuban, but
huh?
Not this Cuban, but
Yeah,
other Cubans.
Los cubanos, bro. Oye, miren gringuito ahí, mira correr. They love him, bro. They love him. I don't know. Kids love Tyler. The kids love Tyler.
Not my kid.
He's
She don't even know who it is.
Sure, because she's a refined young lady.
She only knows two of the players.
And who are they, Tiff? Who are they?
Jimmy. She's got her fresh Jimmy and buns.
Let's go.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Max Strus. Ooh.
No.
That's a shame.
Because this is a refined young woman with taste, with
it's
culture.
My fault, Jack.
She's raised in a great and loving house by two intelligent women, and she came out with a basketball mind. She knows.
Listen.
She knows.
I'm gonna end what I'm saying on this, because because I'm telling you, my kid has been here before. She has lived before, and I told G this, and I'll end whatever I say with this. And this is a basketball thing. We took her to Aces Liberty. She was fresh. She had a big face hat. She had a Jimmy Butler jersey. White. She had her new fresh Jordans on. She was ready. She was ready to go. Knows nothing about basketball. Just wanted to eat. She wanted to eat. That's all she wanted was the food and just listen to the music. We're watching the game, and she goes, "Who's Candace Parker?" I said, "She's injured. She's one of the best players on the Aces. She's like a glue guy. They're gonna need her." So 2 things are happening. The Aces are down by almost 40 with a quarter left.
Aren't they good?
Yeah, but this was
great.
I spent a lot of money on a bad game, G. And she's eating her popcorn. She looks at me and she goes, "How much time left?" So I point to the board. I'm explaining. There's a quarter left. And she goes, "That's almost 40 points. I go, "I know." And she goes, "They're not coming back." I said, "Well, how do you know?" She goes, "Because you can only make 2s or 3s. Not enough time for that." That's number one. Number 2, she goes, why do they need Candace Parker? So I'm explaining. Candace Parker, to me, is the glue guy like Chris Bosh. What you need is what they can give you. All the things.
Is
So
she
I'm
reduced to
explaining.
glue guy now?
No, but see, you're talking about that like that's not a good thing. Trust me.
I just think of
They
Candace
need it.
Parker as the engine, not
Well,
the.
she's not the engine anymore.
That's what I asked. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why.
she's
They
not
got a
the
lot of
engine.
talent on that team.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent on
I
Yeah.
I've
Gee, you're messing up my story.
My
So,
bad.
anyway, so now I'm explaining it to her, what Candace Parker gives you, what she does, blah, 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 all the things. She looks at me, I go, she's injured. I said, so you know what happens in sports? When people are injured, other people have to step up. I said, especially if you still got stars on the court, that's their job. I said, they make the money, they got to make the honey. And she looks at me and she goes, like Jimmy Butler.
Hell yeah, sister.
That's it.
It would have been so funny if
Arena.
she was like Max Strus. You might have cried on the spot.
I would have cried.
Would have cried.
I would have kicked her down the stairs and she would have said like Kyle Lowry.
I would have taken her to the movie shopping and get Popeyes if she said Kyle Lowry. I'm coming, kid. I'll be there tomorrow. Buy my flight. Giving you what you deserve.
But that's the thing. In sports, it's like you need people to step up. And you know who stepped up? D Wade.
You know who
That's
didn't?
it.
James Harden and Joe Cronin. We have come full circle, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I don't know if we're gonna be on next week. It depends. If the NBA produces news, we'll be on. If not, we'll see you when they do. Listen, we're not the content machines that 5 Reasons and Locked On Heat are. I see Ramil and West potting every day. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Ethan's gonna do his 50th mock draft of like undrafted players. That's an idea for you, Ethan. They're in the barrels. It's currently on says Ask Ira. That actually would be a really funny show. We just ask Ira for show
Ask Ira
topics.
questions.
Just ask Ira. Just ask Ira for Ira. Can you rate your top 10 Ask Iras? I love Ira, bro.
My favorite Ask Ira is the one every week where it's like, hey, Ira, could the Heat under the cap, of course they would want to do this. Could they trade Jimmy Butler for Onyeka Okongwu? Like, would that work under the cap? Obviously they would do that if they could. Like, does he write those questions? G, you know?
G wrote that question.
You wrote those questions. That's
Tiff,
why
you
you
know
wrote
that.
this.
Tiff, it's for Ira to say face. You know that we used to steal Anthony Chang's mailbag. So Anthony Chang used to solicit questions for his mailbag on Twitter, and our mailbag segment, because I was scared because we were still like a young show. I was scared if we'd ask questions, nobody would answer, because I'm traumatized because one day Brian and I tried to live stream like way back in the day, and like 2 people came, and I just didn't want to handle that embarrassment again. So we would steal Anthony Chang's questions for his mailbag, and we would just do the segment where we'd answer Anthony's mail questions. Anthony sometimes would call in and he'd answer some of the questions on air. It was really what a fun time, Jack. You remember those?
I do remember those.
Remember the crumpled paper? Leif loved the crumpled paper. That should have made him laugh every time. What a time, bro. What a time, what an era. Thank you all for joining us. Listen, it was fun to talk to my friends. We laughed. We talked emotions. We talked funny. We really went around the league. So yeah, guys, we'll be around. Carliana says I'm a liar and a stealer. Hell yeah, brother. We'll be around. I want to thank you. We're actually finally getting the payout for all the donations. So we will be donating this week officially through your links and everything. We got all the eBay money for the Lebitard bid. All that has been accounted for, and we will be sending in for Trans Social this week. So I want to thank everybody again for helping us raise damn near $3,000 for a cause that's very important at a time in a state that it matters a lot. So I want to give my thanks to the audience for everything that you guys have done. And thank you for supporting Heat Beat for the last 10 years, man. It means a lot for all our causes, big and small. We love you guys. Thanks for always showing up, guys. So we'll see you around. And listen, we're wrapping up for the season. Hopefully we get some good news next week. If not, we'll see you when
See you when you
duty
see you.
calls.
Night, guys.